Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well because today we're talking about music. Today we're talking about the new project from Fat Mike. Not just a new solo release, not a Cokie the Clown, not a new NoFX release, but something entirely new, which is really, really cool. So for those of you who don't know, Fat Mike, lead singer and bass player of NoFX, who are officially calling it quits. They're doing their final tour. They've released their final album already, and maybe in the future they'll do something else together, but for now they're kind of going off in their own ways and doing their own projects, and this is one of the things we're going to see. So this is Fat Mike teaming up with Bastien Baz Brisson, who's a French composer who's worked with NoFX previously. If you've seen their The Decline live film and live concert they did, he was the conductor there. He's done projects with a lot of other Fat Records groups on their roster. I saw Bad Cop, Fishbone very recently, Days and Days, stuff like that, and other NoFX releases. So this project is called Fat Mike Gets Strung Out. Good title, fitting title. But what is it? So it's 10 tracks of NoFX tunes done in a symphonic style. It reminds me a lot of sort of Baroque or chamber music. I'm not, super well versed in those styles, but that's kind of the vibe it gives me. These were recorded for quintets and quartets, so they're sort of small scale pieces. There's no vocals, it's purely instrumental. They're not just trying to do straight up covers. They are covers of NoFX songs and some other bits and bobs I'll get into when we go through the tracks. But they're not phoning it in at all, which I love. This is just really enjoyable music. If you're familiar with the songs, you get something out of it. But even if you're not, some of these tracks, I've heard before, but they're not on the albums I frequently listen to from the band. And I'm like, oh, this is just a really straight up good song. Um, so I'm excited to kind of promote this project. I was given a preview code from the fine folks at Fat Records, like I mentioned, and it's just really, really cool to hear something unique, something different, something that kind of pushes the boundaries. So there's 10 tracks on here. You got 1 Million Coasters from the album Coaster. That's a lot of fun. That opens up in a real fun way. I'll mention as well, so Bastien Brisson, he's got 50 years, 15, not 50, 15 years of experience. So this isn't, some fluke, something new just for fun, something in the breeze. This is really good quality music. Um, the second track really blew me away. It was Life of What a Drag, which is from Home Street Home, the musical. And I was kind of making sure I knew where these tracks came from, and I was like, oh, I don't know that song because I'm not familiar with that musical. I know it's the musical that they wrote. It's like the punk rock musical. Um, and I think that's why it lends itself well to that format, that style of music, because you're sort of going for that very, not over the top, but very theatrical style. So it lends itself well to that. Then you have Mediocre, which is probably the song outside of some of the later. There's like one or two more that I'm familiar with as well. But it's like, this is one of the NoFX, my core memory, NoFX albums when I first started listening to the band, and that was a lot of fun. Art of Protest, again, a song I wasn't super familiar with, but I liked it a lot. Um, Total Bummer as well. That one, I think, had a lot of emotional pull to it. That one pulled on the emotional heartstrings. Even without the vocals, I think a lot of the messages in this music translates really well. And I think that's really important because NoFX as a band, I think quite often they get lumped into this jokey category because certainly their live show, certainly sort of that image they portrayed was, a drunken and drug fueled mess. And then in the later period of the career, they sort of addressed that and talked about that, saying, yeah, that wasn't healthy. Those were coping mechanisms, ways to deal with our trauma and our insecurities and things like that. And certainly, Fat Mike has actually discussed in a lot of detail a lot of his kind of personal traumas and his personal struggles. And the really cool thing is that that comes out in these compositions and arrangements, and I really appreciate that. Track 6, I'm a Rat. I really, really like that song. Um, Track 7, Fuck Day 6, that was good. And then She's Gone, which is again one of their big hits that people are familiar with. And that it's a really downer song anyway, so it lends itself well to kind of something more somber in terms of a symphonic arrangement. Then we have the Desperation's Gone, and we finish off with one of the Cokie the Clown tracks, La Pieta, which is again, about the death of Fat Mike's mom. Um, and again, to have these ideas come across instrumentally is really, really powerful. Usually, when I'm listening to instrumental music, it's, Rick Wakeman doing some, symphonic prog and it's over the top and bombastic, or it's, Miles Davis doing some jazz, or modal jazz fusion or something. And certainly those are emotional and they have their own kind of musical pastiche that they draw from. But this is something very different. And again, that kind of idea I already mentioned, but want to get across is that this isn't just, someone with a fun idea like, wouldn't it be crazy if we took fast paced punk rock songs and slowed them with strings? It's how can we take the core elements of these songs, the emotional drive of these songs, and translate that into a different musical language. And it comes across really well, and it's just really beautiful and touching. It's the kind of thing that if you appreciate what NOFX and Fat Mike do, you're going to get a lot out of this. But even if you don't, even if you just play this for someone that's into, Baroque or chamber pop, or not chamber pop, chamber music or classical, they would appreciate and get something out of it. In the promo for the album, there's kind of a pull-out quote of Fat Mike saying that he wanted something that his parents would play at a dinner party, and this is certainly the kind of thing that I could see happening for the really cool parents. But it's like the kind of in thing where it's like, if you know, you know, you know. But it's just good music for anyone, NOFX fan or not, punk rock fan or not. It's just really beautiful instrumental music. That's who I'm going to recommend this for. If you appreciate your music pulling you on an emotional journey, this is for you. And it's set to come out December 1st. I'm going to have the purchasing link down below. As well, I was doing some research on this album. You could be in the music video. I'm going to have a link down there. So on the, what's the actual URL? Let me look that up. fatmike@strungout.com. So they're filming a video for one of the tracks for Total Bummer. So you can film yourself playing some of it on instruments and then send that for your audition. That's really cool too. I'd do it. I don't play any classical instruments, but I'd give it a shot. So that's really cool. So I'm going to have some of the more relevant links down below. But otherwise, Fat Mike at Strung Out, December 1st on Fat Records. If you're into good music, if you're into an emotional journey, give this a shot because you're going to get a lot out of it. That's it for today. Have a great one.